Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we make the first pitch for the 2024 campaign to get Jason Brauner into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Kathy Cool, Tim Swaya, and Demetrius Kane.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, guys.
What's happening?
Hey, so we're going to be talking about the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. We'll get into exactly what it is. Not necessarily everyone knows that. We'll talk a little bit about Brauner, who he is. We'll talk about some work that we've done already with Brauner. We'll talk about the process for getting someone into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame and what we need to do that. Well, we'll get to that after the break. For right now, McNew said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, McNew?
So this is the thing I was thinking about this week. What is a phrase that people use that it looks nice, but underlying it's very passive aggressive?
Bless your heart, of course.
Of course, we all know bless your heart.
That's the ultimate of, yes. Yeah. Bless your heart. They don't mean that at all. I mean.
No, that's an insult.
There's an insult, yes. Well, what else is something someone would say, but is actually pretty passive aggressive?
I'd go to the corporate world and it's like circling back on this, or just trying to see if, or bringing this to the top. Basically, read my email. Are you paying attention? We need to get this thing moving. Like, are you an idiot? Or per my last email, or per our last conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Just following up means, did you do your fucking job yet?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One of those. When don't you hate when you make a mistake? You've made a mistake, and then the person responds with your email and like circles where you fucked up. They can't be just like, "Hey, what do you mean by this?" or something like that. They have to show you what your fucking error is. And you know what the error is.
And they're CCing your boss, their boss, everybody's boss, and gone. Like,
right.
Not everybody had to get involved in that. Okay.
Right. Kathy asked if anybody is ever going to mention to me that I fucked up on a event that I'm promoting. Yes, like 100 people. Anytime. Now, what kills me about that is what angers me about that is people jump on my ass when I make an error. People I've never met, never heard of, never have attended one of our fucking events. So how are they confused by if it's on the 24th or the 9th? Who gives a fuck? They're not coming to either date. I'll do it on the fucking 24th if you'll come in on the 24th, you asswipe. But they're not going to because they never come to anything. But by God, they want to show me that I fucked up when I wrote something and I put 2 dates on the exact same thing. I don't know. That's just me. I don't mind. It doesn't bring out old man anger or anything. If they want to,
Steve, we're starting to wonder if you need a handler.
Completely fine.
I might need a handler. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. What people don't need to realize is I write a lot of stuff, and I'm not a detail person. I need someone to read my work. We don't have that. We're a small company. We're 3 people, and I have to write everything without any help. So it's not like anybody's looking over the stuff or, hey, is this right? No, it's just me. And I'm not that detailed. I can write a lot. You want me to write? I can write volumes of stuff for you. Is the stuff grammatically great? Is it accurate? Oh,
I saw on Instagram you can get paid to be a proofreader now. Just follow their steps.
Follow the
It's
steps.
great.
Huh?
Yeah, just follow their steps. You know, they're all annoyed that they never read the captions to follow the steps. All the small business owners are teaching you how to proofread and get paid for it now.
Oh.
Yeah, I figured out all you need to do is just be able to sell a course on Instagram and you can make millions of dollars. You don't even have to be a millionaire to tell people about how to be a millionaire.
You're course, Bill. Why would you need to be
A millionaire? Well, he wants to be a millionaire so he can be a millionaire.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be really passive aggressive.
What?
Is when I go into the crew club page and I tell Steve like 3 days later, hey, you know you got 2 dates on here? That's what's going to be real passive aggressive.
I hope you took a screenshot of it so you could circle it and show me. So too.
Yes.
Yeah. Usually, those are the favorite. You got to show me my error. So, in case I want to dispute it, you've got proof of it. So yeah.
proof of the
Arguably,
error?
that was the most talked about topic in the crew club for like the last week.
Oh yeah. Well, that kind of shit happens. That's all we got going in our lives to see if I make any errors. And believe me, there's plenty.
When I was growing up, we always used to, anytime somebody was like that, those passive aggressive, we always used to call it the Southern kiss.
Uh-huh.
There were people like from the South. And the one that always drives me nuts when somebody's like, you're not just a pretty face. And I'm like, you think I'm an idiot?
Right.
Yep.
Like, up until this exact moment, you thought I was an idiot.
Right.
So that's the one I get.
Of course, ABV Network, the classic one is our own Jeremy Shell. He always likes to say, that's one way to go. So what you mean by that is
Jeremy
one way to go.
You are a
your opinion.
fucking moron. Yeah, you've chosen wrong.
That's one way to go.
Yeah, that's one way to go. That's Jeremy's classic line for sure. Well, McNew, you asked this question. Is there anything you want to add to the conversation?
Yeah, so I saw somebody I don't even remember where it was, but like they posted something that like wasn't all that interesting, but they were excited about it. And somebody said, "Thanks for sharing," which that was
Spectacular.
so passive aggressive. Where it's like, I don't give a shit. Like, thanks for sharing, and that was it. It wasn't like, oh, that's cool. I'm so happy for you. It said, "Thanks for sharing."
No.
I thought that's passive aggressive.
That's how my mind works, but I don't think most people get that stuff because you see the way people correct shit all the time. When people are making goofy posts and stuff like that, they're trying to be like, they're trying to say something is dumb by saying, oh, this is, look at that, look how cool this is. And everyone is like correcting them and telling them it's
right,
idiots and bullshit. And you're like, you never even look at the context. You don't think that person's joking. So I never make jokes and stuff. What the hell's going on with McNew? Is there some shock under her ass that jaunts her up every couple of minutes?
No, sorry.
What the hell's going on there? Yeah.
I'm good.
I don't know what the hell's happening.
You need to preface every time you get up so we know what's going on.
You know, since preface came up, I would like to ask McNew how to spell the sauce that starts with the W.
I feel like I can spell it, but I can't say it.
Well, try it. Let's hear.
Let's see if I can spell it first. I think it's WORCHESTSHIRE.
I don't think so.
Are there too many letters?
Yeah,
You're pretty close now.
I think it was close.
That was a good try there.
Worcestershire.
There's some good partial credit there.
Thank you. I'm definitely getting kicked out of the spelling bee, but thank you.
And how is it that you say it?
Worcestershire.
Okay, because I heard you do a
Worcestershire.
you called it Worcester.
Worcester sauce.
You did a whole podcast calling it Worcester.
Worcester.
That was funny.
Have you ever looked into how that's made?
No, how do they make it?
So it's fascinating. There's like a fermented fish and spices, and they have it in barrels, and it's crazy. Like
Worcester sauce is made with fish.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
I think it's Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
So if that's Worcester sauce, what do you call horseradish?
Does it have horseradish?
Horseradish?
Like, I don't know what's in it, but it does add some flavor to some things. I'm not mad at this.
Delicious.
I want to know how it was made now because that's gross. But
no, there's a really
Perhaps another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
How far south does it go where all of a sudden there's an R in wash? WASH.
Oh, we got that in St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we got that. In
Yeah,
St.
you
Louis.
guys. I think it's south of 80.
They
I
got
think
it.
it's
They got
south
it
of
in
Interstate
Kentucky
80.
too. Yeah.
You mean Warsh?
Warsh.
Wash. I'm going to wash my clothes. I'm wearing
Well, I
shirts.
think it comes from the exact same thing when you grow up in the country and you have
Yeah.
to explain to people from the city that there's two different pronunciations of creek and crick, and they're two different sizes of rivers. And then people make fun of you and they go, "No, you're just messing." And I'm like, no, there's a crick will dry up in the summer, a creek will not.
Okay.
So if I'm going to
You
go,
think
wash a
everyone
horse-
follows that? I don't know. I don't.
If I'm going to go wash a horse, I'm going to wash it. But if I'm washing clothes, I'm going to wash the clothes. You know, like there's.
So my grandma like washed clothes. There were wash rags. Everything had an R.
Wash rags. Yeah.
That
Did your grandma use the tarlet? Because my grandma used the tarlet.
Oh, man.
Oh, the toilet.
No,
Yeah, the toilet.
my grandma called it a commode. I don't think I've ever heard
Oh, she didn't use
Oh,
the
fancy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little
Hang out with Letty.
French background there.
Bacon.
Yeah.
It was-
Your grandma never ate a sandwich either, I bet. So she was like for the common folk. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
Grandma like learned about microwaves in the 70s and I came around in the 80s. So she never made us food. She was like, she would microwave us stuff, but it would never get done. So we'd have like these half-done chicken nuggets and bullshit.
Grandma using a microwave.
Yeah.
Grandma
she-
using the
McNew's
microwave.
family. Yeah.
Microwave and the
Found out
commode.
about a microwave.
Yeah.
My grandma
using
was
the
called
microwave.
cancer boxes.
Yeah.
She would not have one around.
Answer boxes.
My grandma didn't either. I think my mom got her a microwave and she was terrified of it. She left I remember she would have a dish of water in there in case it accidentally got turned on. That you didn't want to have it empty, and so my grandma always had that dish of water in the microwave. She'd never use the goddamn thing, but there'd be a dish of water sitting in there just for safety purposes. So yeah,
Change it every
Stupid,
once in a while to make sure it
sure.
hasn't evaporated.
yes,
Yep. Did you
Time to
see
put
all these
fresh
stupid
water in the
reels?
microwave.
yeah.
Like or these stupid TikToks with the life hacks and the one kid. Yeah, here's a life hack. If the ice cream that you're eating it's so frozen you can't get the spoon in there, he puts a spoon in the microwave to heat it up for 2 minutes and the whole thing explodes. I'm like, this has to be planned out. You can't be this stupid. But then I realized that nobody really has a clue what they're doing at all.
2 minutes.
Well, there's very few.
It's just an arc in there. It's all sparks
just
are going. Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
That's
Perfect.
where humanity's going.
Yeah. There you go. There you
Natural
go.
selection.
That was a choice.
All right. Well, it's time to drink on that. Now, what is everyone drinking? Let's start with Kathy Cool.
Okay.
Kathy Cool.
I'm pulling out the only Buzzard Roost I have.
Okay.
Kind of full.
Oh, nice. I heard a cork pop before that. I think she might
Easy.
be faking us. Did you hear? Did anyone else hear
Might
a
have been
secondary
the
cork
crinkle.
pop?
Is it
Yes.
sprinkling?
There was a secondary cork pop there. So there was a second shooter. It's like when Kennedy got killed. There was a.
Correct.
Is there a grassy knoll?
Grassy
in the
knoll.
house? Yeah. Yeah.
Feels like a conspiracy theory.
I know. I heard a cork pop, and I almost said something. I was like, "Oh, decent" or whatever. And then I hear the real cork pop, and I was like, "I don't know. I think she may be cheating. I mean,
I feel like her room's very echoey. I
don't know.
Very cavernous.
Yeah.
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 It is cavernous here in my.
Tim, which one should we count? The first cork pop or the second? Because the second one was actually better.
The second one was better. I mean, I think if you do an average in the middle, she's got the lead.
Okay, she's got the lead. All right. We're gonna have to. We got to have some sort of penalty there, Kathy. That was ridiculous.
Well, yes, there has been a flag on the play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you'll listen. You'll hear. Yeah.
I'll take the flag.
Then she'll send me a nice text apology. I'm sure when she hears the actual evidence. And
I just hope somebody beats me at this point.
Okay. All right. What do you got there, McNew?
I have some Nelson's Greenbrier. I feel like
Briar.
it's on my side. It's pulling out there.
Oh, well, we have a new leader. Yeah,
We have a new leader.
somebody who did it legit, even I think. So, well, no. All right, Demetrius, what do you got?
I have some Sazerac rye.
Okay,
It's a full bottle. So
all
let's
right.
see.
Seems to be one you like. Okay, I heard it. I heard it, but it was not much there. Not enough to beat McNew.
Was there two echoes though?
No, it was one. Only one.
Oh, I wasn't
Yeah.
cheating. At least we know that.
All right, Tim, what do you got?
I've got the Buzzard's Roast Toasted Barrel Rye from Buzzard's Roast. There you go, Brauner. Love you, buddy. We're trying a different strategy here. We now have it on the bar with the microphone closer. So let's see what happens here.
Oh, it was thunderous. Thunderous.
I heard silence twice on that. I just want to say I think Tim's cheating.
Yeah.
He's trying to be bad.
Full silence, Tim. Get it together.
No, it was silent on my side. I'm not fighting that one at all.
Okay. All right.
Nope. No debate on that one. That sucked.
Kentucky Spirit Fantail bottle. Fantail.
Oh, is this one of those $500 bottles you got there?
Oh yeah, $500 bottle. Yep. Here we go. That was very nice. It was very nice. Not enough. It was between Kathy's two cork pops. It was better than the first one, not as good as the second one. But of course, McNew wins. She had the lead there. So, cheers to McNew.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
I ended up in second place between Kathy's second and third cork pop. So, yeah, fair enough. All right, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about the push to get Jason Brauner, class of 2024, in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is Willie C. Moore, and I'm here with MB Rowan, and you're listening to the Bourbon Kit Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we are pushing to get Jason Brauner into the 2024 Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame.
Yes, we are. So, just so everybody knows, Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame recognizes individuals who have dedicated at least some part of their life to the bourbon industry of Kentucky specifically. It's put together by the KDA. They have changed how they do the nominations and stuff like that. Before, it was nominations were done by the distilleries, which that's still the case. But then the KDA itself, specifically the team that put together the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, were the ones that oversaw that and had to then they could nominate individuals as well. So kind of like the old timers type of thing. People who had been overlooked, they could nominate someone. So that was the case. Then in 2020 and 2021, they canceled the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame due to COVID. Again, I don't think you should cancel the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. Even if you can't have the big ceremony.
You couldn't do email. You couldn't do electronic.
Right.
Zoom, acceptance letters or communicate
Zoom.
with anybody because you could catch the COVID.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. So they canceled it, and then they came back and they kind of reorganized it too. So now it's done by the KDA itself, not necessarily by the Kentucky Bourbon Festival folks. So that's kind of a different team within the They ultimately that group reports up to the KDA, but a different group now controls it. So it's a little bit different process, though it's basically the same. It's just a different group overseas, and they're the ones that would be nominate someone. So that lends into the fact that we did push for Brauner back in 2020. So we actually picked up some traction. So we got Freddie Johnson into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. So I'd started an online petition and said the great Freddie Johnson should be a Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famer. Ultimately, he makes it. Unbelievable as that is, got to the right people and he goes in. And then I was like, the next one after that has to be Brauner. I mean, he's got, the greatest bourbon bar in the world, who's created more bourbon fans than someone who owns this great bourbon bar in Louisville, Kentucky, right in the heart of bourbon country. And then he was such a visionary. I mean, he was like the first one to do barrel picks. He's the first one to do flights. He's the first one to do bourbon dinners. All these things he contributed and invented. And now it's commonplace. All bourbon bars do this stuff, but he was the first one doing it. And I thought, he's got, the heritage. He's got the love for bourbon. He's got the friends of bourbon. He's a natural. And again, we started this campaign and it got all the way. I know for a fact they were talking about putting him in. Randy Prasse, the guy who runs the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, was involved and knew about the campaign that we got. And I knew this because Webrink was on the committee for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I think he still is. But again, they don't control it anymore. So it doesn't matter how close we got with Randy. When they canceled it those 2 years, we lost all of our momentum. They weren't putting anybody in. They weren't taking nominations, nothing like that. So that just goes away. And then this past year, gonna kind of get the machine going up again. But I had talked to Jerry Dalton and who had said, I'd talked to him in the past about he really needs to be in there. And then he said, I really can't do it. I can't even think about something like that. And I could not even attend the ceremony. I don't want to mess with something like this. So don't do anything on my behalf. Because he was the caretaker for his wife who was battling dementia at that time. He was the sole caretaker and just didn't want to have any distractions in his life. And okay, I have to respect that. If someone says, I don't want to do this, you don't say, well, by God, we're going to do it anyway. So I didn't do anything with Jerry, but he called me last October, said that unfortunately his wife passed away and he's been reflecting on, his career and his legacy and his love for the bourbon industry. And it would mean the world to him to go into the Bourbon Hall of Fame. And if I'm game for it, he would now join me in an effort to get him in. And I said, before we were going to do this PR campaign, that's what we've always done, but we're pretty good at making movies these days. Let's make a movie about this and get you in there. You can share your career. And you know what? We can't guarantee anything, Jerry, but you know what? You deserve to be remembered. You deserve to be preserved. And this movie will do exactly that. People can watch this for generations. We're setting up our movies where they're not going to go away. Steve Akeley will eventually go away. Hopefully it's in 50, 60 years. But whenever it is, whenever my time's up, these movies will continue on. I talked with my kid. This stuff stays out there. There's an account that this goes and just pay the bills to keep it live and money comes in from it. And then people can discover it years and years from now and maybe somebody finds out who Jerry Dalton is 100 years from now because of that movie. So we do that, and it's called Get Jerry Dalton in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame, and we do this and release it, and a lot of people watched it and enjoyed it, which was cool, exactly what we wanted to do. But who does see it? The important person is Fred Noe of Jim Beam. Fred Noe, who was mentored by Jerry Dalton. Jerry Dalton was the master distiller between Booker Noe and Fred Noe. When Booker had to step down, he was still alive. He didn't die out of the spot. He had to step down for health reasons. Fred wasn't ready to go. And ultimately, it takes 9 years. So for 9 years, Jerry is in charge. Master Distiller is his title. And Fred reports to him, and he helps Fred along the way. And then when Fred's ready to go, of course, what does Beam do? They're ready to move on then. Now it's time for the family. So Jerry's kind of kicked kicked out, and he's basically kind of had a sour taste in his mouth, I think, for a while. He did write a few articles and things like that, but then his wife gets diagnosed with this dementia problem, and he starts turning more and more of his attention to taking care of her, and he kind of just disappears before the big bourbon boom, when again, it would be a big difference now if he was in working for Beam and stepped down in the middle of all that. It was all before really social media takes off. And so we make this movie, and Fred No sees it, and he's like, damn it, he belongs in there. So Fred No took it and made it his personal mission. He called the KDA and said, we're going to get Jerry Dalton in. And he's like, I don't ask for much, but I want Jerry Dalton he needs to be in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. And you know what? When Fred No makes a call like that, they listen. I mean, Beam's a big deal, and they put him in. So Jerry Dalton is now in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. So now it circles back around. There are other people I think that should be in there, like Ken Lewis, and there's others that I've thought about too. But Brauner needs to be next. He's the guy. So he's the guy. How do we do this? If we're going to is it back to, you think it's another movie? Is the movie the way to go? What do you guys think?
I know it's a lot of work, Steve, but as a fan, not only just as a fan of Bourbon First, I just pulled up 427 views on the Dalton video on YouTube right now.
Right.
That's not viral. That's not anything. That's not what that's about. Those are true fans wanting to see that and spreading that word. Those are the fans that matter. That's who you're going to. You're not going to the 15 minutes of fame, folks. I think you do these documentaries on these personalities of bourbon that are not without the marketing budgets behind them. Right. I think your efforts are worth to the right people.
Okay. I just believe Brauner, he deserves to go. I mean, he was early on. He's the first bar in the United States to have bourbon in its name. The first bar to say we're a bourbon bar. We're not a whiskey bar. So you can't come in here and order scotch. You can't come in here and order Japanese whiskey. We're bourbon. You can order bourbon. We've got all the bourbons that we can get.
So, Steve, I think you got to spin it a little bit. Yes, he was the first bourbon bar. He was like a pioneer in the bourbon dinners and the tastings and the flights. But now he has Buzzard's Roost. So I think you get you angle towards the Buzzard's Roost fanboys. Be like, hey, this guy who blended this product that you're loving, who's starting to distill it, he just opened his thing on Whiskey Row. I think you're going to leverage Buzzard's Roost more than Bourbon's Bistro. I think that's how you need to angle it now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, McNew, on that. Not only is he on the restaurant side, but now he owns a distillery. Not only just a brand, he's got a distillery too as well now, because he's got to have that with the tasting bar. So now he's taking
actual production distillery. So it's small scale, but
it's still a distillery.
Right.
Excited.
Yeah, but that just has to be another feather in his hat, because it's a new distillery. And if this is a Hall of Fame thing, you don't want to focus too much on that. It just needs to be another feather.
Road. There's some big brands on Whiskey Row, and he's putting Buzzard's Roost there. The man is iconic. He's doing what he wants when he's ahead of his time and everything. So I think, you got to spin it both ends, tie it all, weave it in together.
What we can do as well is, again, Jason is beloved in the bourbon industry. And, we can do a movie that gets all these cool people in there, Jim Rutledge and, Bernie Lubbers and all these people who hang out at Bourbon's Bistro. And it's the who's who of bourbon celebrities. Fred No. I mean, Freddie No. Those guys love it. They go to Bourbon's Bistro. Say, hey, we need to do this. And would you mind being in this movie? I think that's powerful. And then you put it out there. And again, you get the fans to say, hey, KDA, pay attention to this. If they watch this, well, if the fans want it, if the bourbon industry wants it, the key players, how do you say no? And why would you say no? And he's got the pedigree too. It's, by the way, you're not just putting in anybody. We're not picking, man or woman off the streets and saying they need to go in the bourbon hall. This guy has the pedigree. He's got unbelievable, backing of that. Yeah. And I want all this to happen just because I want the party at the Bourbon's Bistro. Can you imagine what that party's going to be like?
Gosh.
Holy cow. The invites?
Oh my God.
Barrel picks he has, just the barrel picks that are at Bourbon Bistro. He has to have some record for how many he's been on.
Right. Yeah, he's picked more Four Roses barrels than anybody. It was the first barrel pick that they ever did for an on-premise account. So, I think you need to touch on some of his other skill sets that he has.
I mean, his repertoire of karaoke.
Oh, it's karaoke.
songs,
Yeah.
Karaoke.
He could be he could be a soundtrack of life on this.
I'll tell you what, at the ceremony, he could also do the music for him. So, yeah.
He can do a whole set.
Yeah. So,
mean,
he can do his whole set.
He's the full package. There's
Don't
nothing
even
about
have
him.
to hire a DJ. He will lead the karaoke the entire time. We got it.
I can't wait to hear him sing "Sweet Caroline" again. It just brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, Lady 2 from Styx. That's a great one.
Yeah, there's another one too.
Lady. Kathy, you were saying something though. What he's about the?
I was
him being
just
the whole
saying
package.
he's the full package. He's got the restaurant. He's got the barrel picks. He's got his own brand. He's got something on Whiskey Row. He can karaoke with the best of them. How does he not belong in the Bourbon Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I agree. And they haven't had a bar owner recognized for being a bourbon bar. Now they have had two things that are adjacent. They had one bartender go in, Joy Perrine, I believe her name was. She created a drink called the Bourbon Ball. So it was kind of a cocktail version of the classic candy. And that was a famous drink. She deserves to go in 100%. That's kind of as close. And then they put in a bar owner this year. And this was a female bar owner who, after Prohibition, got a law change that allowed women to go into bars. Apparently, at that time, women weren't allowed to sit at a bar. I guess they could go into an establishment. They weren't allowed to sit at the bar itself. That was reserved for men. And she was a bar owner. And as a female, she apparently wanted to change that rule, which she couldn't even have women into her own establishment. She was like, I want to have women sit. That was against the law. She couldn't have women sit at her bar. So she worked and got that law changed. Which is pretty cool. So, yeah. So, somebody was telling me, Jerry Dalton was telling me about that. He was like, they used to have, he's like, when I was young, he heard about from old timers that would talk about in those days, women in Kentucky would go to bars and they would sit at the bar, but on one cheek, because technically what is sitting? What is sitting? So they would have the one cheek drink, they would call it, or something like that. Because technically, by definition, sitting would be on both buttocks. That's the way they defined it. I don't know, or whatever. That was like a workaround that people were doing to try to get around it, because it was a ridiculous law, and people will protest in their own way. And even if they get arrested, it makes a big deal, because it's like, I wasn't actually sitting, I was on one cheek. I don't know.
I think some clarification needs to go here, though, Steve. That strategy for Mr. Bill, that's the different than the one cheek squeak.
Oh,
that is not the same, Mr. Bill. I'm talking to you. This is something different. This is something bigger than that.
The one cheek squeak or sneak?
Yes.
The sneak is the one you got to be careful of. Yeah. Demetrius, what do you think about all this? What do you think of Brauner? Do you even know who Brauner is?
I've only ever podcasted with him a couple times.
Okay.
Had his whiskey.
Yeah.
It's great whiskey.
Yeah.
But since I'm not out of, we're not out of Kentucky,
right?
It's very different. It's very different for us. I think it's really, to me, it's kind of like Kentucky is just so different in whiskey and bourbon culture, because it is Kentucky. Like,
right.
And I think that sometimes that it's like, I don't think that Kentucky makes the best whiskey, but it like, the culture is
second to none. And how do you get it? How does it permeate into your culture? Well, things like bourbon bars. I mean, it can't be just the drink. It can't be just, bourbon. We create more bourbon. We make more bourbon. No, there's more to it than that. And like I said, you go to the zoo there, and they're ices. We see ices. They got like a polar bear on there. You go to the zoo there, it's a polar bear saying, "Get your icy with bourbon. We'll get a bourbon icy." They don't have that at the St. Louis Zoo. I can't go to the St. Louis Zoo and be like, "I want a bourbon icy." They don't have that. No.
We should start a petition for that.
I want that. Yes.
We should get Brauner into the Hall of Fame, and then we should also get bourbon ices at the zoo.
That's our two things we got to do for 2024.
I would go to the zoo far more often. I know it's free.
Right.
Go to the zoo far more often if they had bourbon ices.
Bourbon ices is the key. That's where you get us. Go ahead, Kathy.
That wasn't me. That was McNew.
No, I said the St. Louis Zoo is free.
It's free, yeah. Oh.
It's free and world class.
Oh, yeah.
Ours is $30 for
Ours is free.
Hey,
Ours
Ours is free.
Everything once you get in. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Our zoo's awesome.
soon.
It's only one of a couple zoos that are free. I know the Washington D.C. Zoo, which is also a great zoo, by the way. That is also free. I've been there before. So there's not many of them that are free, but ours and that, and ours cannot, according to the charter, and of course anything can be changed, I guess. But according to the land that was donated there for the zoo, it has to be available for free in perpetuity for them to keep that land. So
I love that. So going to the Indianapolis Zoo was like a mini vacation. You're going to spend so much money.
yeah, just
Talk to me when you visit Brookfield here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Do it.
Call me. I got the free tickets because I have to pay for an arm and a leg for the membership.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Cheapest way to get in.
I'm
Yeah.
At least I get to donate some money, get some charitable donations out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, it's going to be coming soon. We need to work on a movie, so I'm going to get with Bo and we're going to start working on that. There's a lot of story to tell there, so it'll be fun to do. And yeah, I think we want to tell Brauner's story and see
Steve,
what
I
happens.
think we've got to get like his family in because he is a family man. Like,
He is a
has
family man as well.
kids. And I feel like they're in the background maybe because he wants them to be, but you got to be like, oh my gosh, my dad's so great. My husband's so this.
It'd
Like,
be good to get their perspective for
this
sure.
side too,
For sure.
like your people.
Yes.
Picture with
So-
him in the truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bo and I we haven't announced this anywhere else. It hasn't even been in Quick Bourbon Notes or anything like that. We have a small distribution deal where someone pitches our movies now to the various outlets and stuff like that. So that's a first. That's a first.
Wow.
We're gonna expand beyond just being on Amazon, which is the only place we knew how to go to. So yeah. So it'll be cool. So who knows where it'll end up? Peacock, they're talking and stuff like that.
Remember us when you have Netflix money.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get some of that Netflix cash. That's what I'm hoping
That's
for.
it.
Yeah.
Please still remember
It's like
us.
Lenny with his Sealbach money.
Yeah, I'll be hanging out
You know?
wherever Lenny hangs out on Lenny Island.
He'll love that.
Silverback money. Yeah, and I'll have my Netflix cash. So yeah, fair enough.
They let him in here? Just the Netflix money? Ugh.
I'll come strolling in with the sandwich. She'll be like, "Get him out."
Get
Get
out
him
of my
here.
space.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Kathy, we're going to start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at KK Cask Strength.
Tim.
You can find me enjoying a number of the expressions of Buzzard's Roost, as well as at Bourbon's Bistro when I dine in Louisville when I do come into town, and on Instagram at SwyGuy2112.
Yes, that's important to point out because it has nothing to do with Jason going to the Bourbon Hall of Fame, but the food at Bourbon's Bistro is fantastic,
It's
by the way.
outstanding.
Yeah.
The shrimp and grits.
He won
I don't stray
best
far
whiskey
from
bar
it.
in the world, which doesn't hurt him. But the food there, right, Tim? It's just fantastic.
No,
Kathy
his
knows,
bistro
McNew knows.
burger and
Yeah.
the truffle fries.
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
Yeah,
Truffle fries are
Yeah.
12
Chef
out of
Jeremy's amazing.
my God.
yeah, that's some good stuff. So, all right, McNew, how about you? Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows,
Demetrius,
blogs.
where are you from?
I didn't ask Demetrius.
Me.
We asked him twice last show, so we're not going to ask
Dot
him.
Mo on Instagram, or you can find me at Nobleton's on
How do you know I wasn't going to ask you afterwards? There's no order to this. Maybe I was going to jump back to you.
Steve, I'm your
I'm easy
handler.
guy
You
to
weren't
find.
coming back.
I'm
I
back.
wasn't coming back. All right.
You were in the groove.
All right.
So you're an easy guy to find, Steve?
Yeah, so much more. abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience, please
Flaccid.
a review that includes
Flaccid.
comments. Helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Everyone.
Peace. Bye, said Kathy. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.